You're watching Gator Bytes, your weekly podcast on the Florida Gators, presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Here are your hosts, Ryan the Hacker Green and former Gators basketball star, Patric Young.
And welcome into Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by our friends at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. And let me welcome in a former All-American and a former Defensive Player of the Year at the University of Florida, Patric Young, to the Gator Bytes podcast. Pat, how we doing?
You know I had to represent a little something subtle. Nothing subtle for the guys, for the fans today.
So 12 years ago, about that, 12, 13 years ago, I remember the days of watching you and Wilbekin and Prather and Yeget make that Final Four run. And now you're going to be the co-host with me moving forward on Gator Bytes. Patric, I'm really fired up, man.
Man, it's a no-brainer. Why would I not be a part of the biggest listenership in Jacksonville regarding Gator sports, Gator basketball? So not only that, but, you know, I've admired your work and what you've been doing and committed for a long time. And it's just cool to be in this space now. It's just crazy. Like, you go from fan just by birth, by proximity, to I got a chance to play there, then to being removed as an athlete and now being on the side of the media and working for around the team as well is pretty cool.
Well, and you do a terrific job on the SEC network as well. Obviously, with that, you're traveling back and forth to Charlotte a lot. I know you have to enjoy doing that.
You know, I enjoy it. I think the hard parts, like, you know, it's still work, right? It's the late nights, man. The late nights get you, because sometimes, you know, I'm not a big drinker, but at the end of the night, you know, after working, I sometimes want a nightcap, and by the time we get out, everything's closed. And then, you know, then it's getting up early, the early flight. Man, my first year, and this is a great story, a wise man would prioritize their rest and their energy. But, you know, when you're in your 20s, you still try to hang on to this belief that you can just get up and go. So I got season tickets for the Jaguars that first year, my first year getting season tickets. I worked Wednesday, Saturday. So I'd fly up to Charlotte on Wednesday. I'd come back Thursday. I'd fly up Saturday morning, work the whole day Saturday, take the early flight Sunday morning just so I could tailgate.
Wow. That's commitment right there, man.
Tailgate and make the game. And if it wasn't, needless to say, we don't need to go ad nauseum here, but this is all related. You know, Urban Meyer, that was his first year. His one and only year with the Jaguars. So let's just leave it there.
Yeah. So you were dedicated to go to all of those games, no question about it. Well, we're obviously going to talk Gator basketball with you. That's the point of the year we're in. But quickly, let me get a thought from you on the football team. I mean, John Summerall's been on the job for 7 weeks, but you see what he's done with Jaden Ball and Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown and all these guys that are coming back. I mean, obviously the time had come and gone for Billy Napier. As a former Gator great on the athletic side, what's been your thought on Summerall and the football team so far?
Yeah, you know, it's what I love about college sports is that I don't want to say antics or the culture, like whatever method a coach wants to go in to kind of bring their style in, they can do that. I think kids are going to be a lot more moldable, because you can look on the outside and be like, man, that's kind of corny, some of the stuff that he's done or said or whatever. And in terms of like, you haven't earned wearing the Gator logo. And it's like, dude, it was me not, you know, getting a verbal commitment and signing. Is that not me earning the logo? But I get it. I understand exactly his approach there. And, you know, in looking at it from the player side, like Jaden Ball, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of teams that wanted him, but you have the chance to be the guy. Like, he's guaranteeing you're going to be the guy for the ones that he's been able to keep. Why go somewhere else, especially when as many draft picks in bad years of Gator football have still gone and had great careers, has been tremendous. So this is a great opportunity, especially, you know, Gator, you know, I don't want to say Gator fans are insane to believe you can win a championship every year, but they are sane enough, and I think this is fair, to say we should be a playoff team every year. I think without a doubt, like we at worst, first team out of the playoffs. And I think that is a realistic goal that John Summerall can do. It's going to come down to quarterback play. You know, I hate that we had to lose DJ Lagway, but sometimes it's right for a fresh start for a young kid like that that's had all that pressure and did 5 interception game last year. Oof, those don't happen often.
No, and look, what Curt Cignetti did at Indiana has given no timetables for anybody now. If Indiana can go 27-2 in 2 years, including a 16-0 national championship in the land of NIL and the land of the transfer portal, athletic directors, fan bases, team or university presidents are going to have very, very little patience. So we'll see what happens.
Like, that's a great, it's a great argument. It's a great argument. And I almost wanted to be like, well, it's not like Indiana's no, they were in the Big Ten. They played 5 top 10 games this season.
And they beat Alabama 38-3.
Yeah, Alabama, like, I don't know if because I always like try to play devil's advocate. People say, oh, but it's Florida. They've already had tradition and history, and the conference is more difficult and this and that. And it's like, man, you know how hard it is to recruit kids to go to Indiana?
Yeah.
Play football outside, to live there? You're right, man. It's a short. I don't know. What do you think is the appropriate leash you give a coach before you have to go towards those rumblings again?
I think Billy Napier got the appropriate one. Maybe it was a year too late, but I think you got to give him 3, maybe 4 years. And people don't want to hear that, but I shouldn't say nobody. It's going to be very rare to do what Cignetti did at Indiana in just 2 short years, 11-2, and then 16-0. That's probably an outlier. But I think by year 3, you should see significant progress from where you are in year 1. And if you don't see significant progress after year 3, there needs to be a conversation.
Part of the thing that just there's 2 things that I think in football that drive me the craziest. One of them, delay of game after a timeout.
Yeah.
How do we not know what play we're going to run after 3 whole minutes?
And it happens a lot.
And then what Napier just being so stubborn, him not trying to have the lifeline. But maybe that's coaches rather lose their own way than win somebody else's. So I guess at the end of the day, Coach Napier is getting his 20-something million for these next few years, and he's still coaching. But I just think he got in his own way from allowing his team to be more successful than he got in his own way of his chance at Florida. But it is what it is. Hopefully we got the right hire. Coach John Summerall is going to be looking across the Gail Limerand and seeing what Todd Golden's doing there. He understands, like, we got to step it up right now.
That is former SEC Defensive Player of the Year, Patric Young. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. This is the Gator Bytes podcast, presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic injury or concern. Be sure to log on to their website, se-ortho.com. All right, Patric, I have not talked to you since the national championship year a year ago. We'll certainly get into this year's team and the big game against Alabama in a moment. But as a Gator alum, a man that played in the Final Four for the University of Florida, what was that experience like in April, seeing your alma mater win the national title?
Man, it was so cool. My only regret is that I didn't get a chance to be there in San Antonio. I did not plan that well. But I got to see them beat UConn in Raleigh. That was crazy because they were down majority of that game, watching Walter do his thing in person. I take it back to this. Chris Harry, going into that season, he said, Pat, Coach Golden, he's got his team. He's like, I can't guarantee you that they're going to win it, but he's got his team. And he was absolutely right. I mean, because you can see signs of it last year. They still had a great offense. Defense was okay. And their defense didn't need to become a top 20. I don't think they need a top 20 defense, but you can't be outside the top 50. You got to be within there if you're going to have because they had a top, this Gators team under Coach Golden, maybe outside his first year, they've been top 10 offensively, efficiently every year. And you just need a defense that's going to complement that a little bit. But Walter Clayton, I think his face is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of Gator basketball. I mean, he single-handedly willed and made the Gators win that national championship. It was surreal, man. I had to wait because I didn't want to sound like a homer. I I waited until I heard from everybody else, the Jay Billises, the Jay Williams, the Seth Greenbergs, for them to be legitimate about Florida. Then I was like, yep, them boys going to the Final Four. I wish it would have been, I do wish to have seen a Florida Duke final, but Houston did their thing. That was a crazy Final Four game. Duke didn't score a field goal for 11 minutes.
Yeah, wild. And the whole run for Florida. Florida, you could argue last year of their 6 tournament wins, 4 of them were they could have lost 4 of them with 30 seconds to go. The Texas Tech game, the UConn game, Auburn was in doubt late, and obviously Houston. So I think, Gator fans were basking in the glory, Pat, of that run. So then fast forward to this year, and we knew the non-conference, right? We knew Duke at Cameron, opening with Arizona, UConn at Madison Square Garden. It was tough. But to lose all those games and to lose them by a point or 2 points or 6 points, to be in every one of them and still lose them, it was a tough start to this year for Florida.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly how you want to look at it, because they lost those games those games were very winnable. Mm-hmm. Arizona was a winnable game, especially with how they started. Obviously, officiating in the UConn game was a little iffy. At Duke, some calls there as well. But the team really hadn't, if you take the team that we have now, put them back, I'm not sure if they beat Arizona, because Arizona is really good. Jaden Bradley, the big man, Krivos, Koa Pete, Burries, they are the number 1 team for a reason. But you go back and look at that game. Xavier Lee, it wasn't playing well, didn't shoot well. Boogie Flam was still figuring out. We weren't passing the ball into Ruben Chinyulu like we are now. If Ruben gets the ball 2 feet in the paint, he doesn't need, and what I love, he doesn't put the ball on the ground. He just uses his body and just goes up, and you can't stop him. Tommy Houck, obviously, he's been the most consistent guy all year long. But then at the time, early in the season, coach was, Micah Handlogden looked bad. I'll be real. He looked really bad early on. He was late on everything. He's missing. And, sadly, of the bigs, I think he's improved the least amount. He is, what he brings to the table is enough. If, you have Houck, Condon, and Chinyulu playing well, you don't need Micah to be a double-figure, double rebound kind of guy, but you need more. And now, to this point in the season, look who else who's getting more playing time now, Isaiah Brown. Right. And it's hard to get some time in that Ty Golden lineup. But Isaiah has proven something. So, I don't want to be the person to say, hey, everything's okay, don't worry. Xavier Lee still needs to play better, all these guys. But, it's minuscule, Hack. If you say it like this, if the Gators grab, let's say they get 2 more stops and make 3 more threes a game, they're top 5. Sure. That's it. Sure. They are a top 5. If they make 3 more 3-pointers a game and maybe 3 more stops, they are a top 5 team in each one of those. Because they won't lose any of those games. Only Auburn was the only one that they've been completely out of it.
And I want to get to that game in a moment. It's funny with Chinyulu, and you're the guy to ask. It was funny. I had a buddy of mine say, Chinyulu last year reminds me of Patric Young. And I said, well, that's nice, but Patric Young could score. Chinyulu wasn't going to score very much last year. Chinyulu was Donnell Harvey. He was great rebounder, ferocious defender, but he wasn't giving you anything. No. Chinyulu now does look like Patric Young or Udonis Haslem, a big man that can put the ball in the bucket. What has happened there with him?
And I'm not even, and I'm not one of those guys, well, look, if I was playing him, man, he's a better rebounder than I was. He snatches the ball. He is unbelievable. He's got numbers I never hit. I think I am a better passer. I was a better passer out of the paint. Probably a better pick and roll defender as well. But shoot, it helps when you actually have another center on the team. Yeah. I was the only one for 3 years at Florida, the only center. We had Vernon Macklin. You could say Eric Murphy, but he's a pick and pop guy. If he played more 4, he was on the court when I was there. Willie Gett was a 4, and then we got DeMontre Harris from South Carolina, but it just never panned out for him. He just couldn't stay healthy or get in shape. But I give so much credit to Carlin Hartman and the staff because, dude, when you look at Ruben last year at the beginning, I was like, what? Like, my man was karate chopping to try and make his hook shots. My man is up there just like so rigid and stiff. Like, he looked like Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
He played a little bit like Wreck-It Ralph. Now he plays with a controlled, a great comparison. Baby Shaq he's a Greek player. He's a little undersized, but was just so dominant. And Ruben's not undersized, but just the dominance that they bring on both sides. He knows his body so well, his energy, his enthusiasm. Like, I would always bet the over for Ruben if I was a gambling guy, just because of his intensity, man. Like, he knows what he brings to the table, and he brings his strength every single time. Alex Condon, on the other hand, we got to get him to fix that shot. I don't know what's going on with him.
Well, it's obvious, and look, I don't blame him, and I think he's earned it. It's obvious the NBA report on him when he entered the process, they told him he needed to work on his shooting, and he's trying to. It's just not working. Now, I think defensively, Patrick, I think rebounding, I think passing the ball, I think everything other than the shot, Alex Condon has been everything you hoped he would be coming back this year. The outside perimeter shot obviously needs some work.
I give him respect. He passes the ball out well. I'm not sure where. At one point, I know he's more assists than turnovers, which is pretty rare for a big guy. But I don't know, man. I think you're right. I think he's in his head a little too much.
Right
out there. There are times where I see him catch it, and he's very decisive. Look, he's 6'11". Like, someone needs to remind him of his size.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not as agile or as athletic as Thomas Houck, but there's a lot of things that Tommy does that Alex can do as well. Like, when it comes to putting down the ground and just getting to the basket, or just the creativity around the basket to get a shot, it's just I think he just starts thinking too much. And then, let alone, teams are giving you 10 feet of gap because they don't think you can shoot. I remember my sophomore year, and this was Anthony Davis year.
Oh, wow.
In the beginning of the season, you could give him some space. Around the end of the year, you couldn't give him space. He was knocking that shot down, and I'm like, bro, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to guard this guy? He's got me on the perimeter. He's got me at the rim. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, if Condon shot anywhere like Houck shoots, he'd be a lottery pick. Houck's going to be in the conversation for SEC Player of the Year, is he not?
As he should.
Yeah.
It's got to be between, you always look at the top teams right now. I don't think you're looking at anybody from Texas A&M, even though they're 5-1 in the league right now. Darius Acuff with Arkansas, Thomas Houck for sure. Maybe LeBaron Philon. You throw him in there with Alabama, and then Tyler Tanner with Vanderbilt. I'm trying to think. Is there anyone I'm missing? Josh Hubbard, Mississippi State just isn't good. They're so bad. I always feel bad when I forget. Oh, Nate Ament, that freshman. Hey, man, that kid good. That kid is special. Yeah. And my argument, and this is something I'm interested in, your thoughts on this. With NIL, and especially thinking about college basketball, with football it's different, but college basketball, there's so many guys that still decide to be one and done, even though they can come back and still make a good amount of money, still be a great player, develop, etc. They go to the NBA and then they disappear.
Right.
You don't hear about them. Like a guy like Nate Ament, and he's playing really well. What hurts him from staying one more year in college and having the opportunity to take Tennessee to a national championship?
Along those lines, and I was going to wait on this till the end, but I'll do it now because you brought it up, and it's a good segue. Again, Patrick Young with us. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. The brand new Gator Bytes podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialist will be with you every Friday here on the 1010XL.com podcast network. And thank you to the good folks at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for bringing it to you. And they've been with us, Patrick, for years and years here on the Gator Bytes podcast. Charles Bediako.
Yeah.
All right. So for just a Cliff Notes version, I imagine most people know the story. If you don't, he plays for Alabama. He also played for Alabama back in 21 and 22, went into the NBA draft, did not take his name out, He did not get drafted, but what he did do is sign an NBA contract, a two-way contract with the San Antonio Spurs, and played in the G League for the last two-plus years.
Two 10-day contracts.
Yeah, two 10-day contracts. So
he's been
in the G League.
Yeah.
He's been in the NBA umbrella. He still has NCAA eligibility left, so he thought, but he did sign that NBA contract. The NCAA, when he filed to come back saying, I want to go back to college, they said, I don't think so. You signed an NBA contract. You're not coming back. Your eligibility is over. They found a judge in Tuscaloosa who reportedly is a donor to Alabama athletics that gave him a restraining order against the NCAA to allow him to play. That judge has since recused himself from the case amid growing outcry about that. To my knowledge, Bediako is going to play on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Yep, he's
against Florida. Todd Golden had a lot of thoughts about this during his radio show last week. Patric, you played pro ball in Europe. You obviously were an All-American at Florida. I mean, what do you make of this situation?
Oh, man, where to start? First off, I guess to say he's not the first. He's not the only. I think the situation with the kid at Baylor is a little bit worse because that kid was drafted.
Yeah.
Played, drafted in the first round or second round, 31st pick, whatever. So and there's 5 or 6 players currently in Division I that have that some type of they were pro and came back to play. So this is not an isolated incident, but I think it is the one that makes the most noise because he was, on these two-way contracts and the judge, obviously, it makes you curious. Like if it wasn't this Alabama donor judge, would they have allowed this TRO where he even gets his opportunity? But, I think Coach Golden, hindsight's 2020, right? But I think he should have waited with his comments or maybe said something like, hey, we're going to focus on them when it comes time to play them. But we got Auburn and we got South Carolina because they did not look ready for that Auburn game at all.
No.
I mean, hats off to Stephen Pearl, but you give up 22 points to Keyshawn Hall in the first half. Like they picked it up in the second half. But yeah, the whole situation with Bediako, we need, and this is what's so crazy. We're like, forget the NCAA. They have no power. We should have conferences do their own thing. Someone still has to hold people accountable to make sure we're all playing by the same rules. If we're not going to let the NCAA govern, and also like the NCAA, even though they're on this side right now where people are attacking them for their misgivings and things, I bet you they have plenty of horror stories of people trying to cheat that we don't know about. Plenty of stories of people trying to cheat. Like you wouldn't imagine what this was happening under the table here and there. But it's just so crazy. Just right in our eyes. Like the NCAA, should they punish Alabama for these games when if the judge comes and says he's not eligible? I think they should.
Well, think about it like this. I'm trying to bring it back locally so Gator fans will have a better understanding. They probably understand, but bring it back from a local standpoint. Isn't this essentially like Florida getting injured in the guard position and going to get, Walter Clayton, who has a year of eligibility left? Now, he's on the actual Jazz, but there's no difference. When you sign a contract, regular NBA team, 10-day contract with the G League team, it's all under the NBA umbrella. They're all NBA contracts.
It would have been like Scotty Lewis.
Right. Well, yeah. Any of those guys to bring back, for the life of me, I cannot imagine how this is happening. And there's going to have to be some issue because when courts get involved in stuff like this, it's just going to get nothing but messier.
And even just on this standpoint, man, like, dude, just morally, this is one of those things where you're like, yeah, I mean, it's allowed. We can do it. We're not breaking any rules. Okay. But like,
that's the thing. It's not allowed. The NCAA is not letting them do it.
They're kind of, trying to force and exploit this loophole or whatever. But just to be like, man, guys, does anyone not think this is wrong?
It's rough.
Does anyone here? So what? Yeah, he can play. But Coach Nate, do you think this is athletic director? President of the school? Do you all you guys are in compliance with this? Do you think this is a great precedent setting before across all? Because if this was happening in Auburn, I bet y'all would be going nuts If Auburn was doing something like this, or LSU or any of your other rivals, so I think it's just such hypocrisy. More than anything, I'm calling them out. Yeah, I think what Alabama is doing is very wrong. Even though this guy could come back, he made the decision, and even to the point of the coach. But think about this, Hack. Like if I'm Nate Oates, I probably tried to tell Charles, you shouldn't go to the NBA. It's not time for you to go yet.
Right.
Like in my honest opinion, I think we want you to stay here. You're going to develop. He said, "No, coach, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm going to the NBA. I appreciate the time, but it's over. This chapter is over." And now this isn't like Michie Johnson at South Carolina that left and went to Ohio State and now is back at South Carolina. No. You gave up. I don't want to be a college player anymore. I want to become a professional. And there's just multiple layers to it, Hack, man. And I hope it gets set right, because it's turning people away from just the pureness and the love that we have for college sports. It is.
And we got to go quick here, but you're, again, perfect person to ask. You played pro ball in Europe. Yeah. And Nate Oates is the head coach of Alabama. His conversation is, and his excuse is, the international players. The international players that come over here that play pro ball in Europe, but then they come over to college, like an Urban Clabsar is a prime example. Well, my response to that is that's fine and well, but those guys never went to college. You play pro ball in Europe, but you've never enrolled in a college. Bediako enrolled in a college, left said college to turn pro, and is now back. I just think there's a big difference there.
It's a huge difference. But for sure, the argument against those, this is the thing though, the landscape over there overseas, you can become, Luka Doncic was a professional at 14 or 15 years old. He's already making money. So their whole system and landscape is completely different. You cannot become a student athlete over there. You are an athlete. There's no space for you to go to a school, university, get your education and play basketball, which is another thing to say, like how America is so great. You get opportunity to be an athlete and play a student at the same time, get paid, etc. It's great. So there's got to be a way to make it flexible where, I don't know, because like Enes Kanter at Kentucky, he didn't play a minute at Kentucky because of his eligibility, and he would have helped their team a lot because he was a pro earlier on. I don't know, man. There's got to be some uniformity. Maybe it can say like at 18 years old, if you've played, like once you turn 18, past then, if you are still collecting checks, you're a professional from a European standpoint, and you can still go to college, but every year, like your eligibility goes down. You only get up to 22 years old, 4 years of eligibility if you want to continue to play pro. But the thing is, they can enter the draft,
right?
Too. They can enter. It's a little bit of a weird circumstance and situation, but I just don't like the buttons being pushed a little bit here. I guess I don't know. This is the wild, wild west of college sports right now, and we're just trying to figure it out.
Let's wrap up with this, Patrick. All right, a couple of final thoughts on the Gators. I want to preview the Alabama game at the end quickly. Auburn. Let's go back to that game. They got punched in the face, and Todd Golden said as much. I mean, they got their nose bloodied. Auburn went in there and out-physicaled the best front court in America and was clearly the more dominant team. Now, South Carolina is what they are. They are a bottom-of-the-barrel SEC team, but Florida had to go on the road, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, an odd time.
9 o'clock, ugh.
And it was they boat raced them. I mean, it was a 47-point beating. You don't beat teams by 47 points in their home gym very often in the SEC. I mean, no, Florida fans have to be impressed with how the Gators responded after that loss, correct?
Yeah, you're not going to be surprised by the response. I guess maybe I am surprised that they won by 47. I would have thought a 20-point win.
Right.
There were times when we're watching the game in studio, and I'm like, what is South Carolina doing? Are they trying? There's still a whole 30 minutes left in the game. But all aspects, all dynamics in that game were well, except Xavier Lee, I think he had 6 points, 9 assists. I'll take assists. Would still like to see him make a few more shots. But Tommy Houck, Ruben Chinyulu, man, I can't believe we got Olivier Roux sighting
Yeah.
Olivia Rio sighting on the road. How
and
about
a standing ovation for him on the road at that.
On the road. So, yeah, that's obviously a game a good team is supposed to take care of business. It's just like at home, they can't lose any more games at home. And right now they're projected a 4 seed. I think the Gators can get to a 3. Even winning out, I don't know if they can get higher than a 3 even if they win out.
Well, you got to be a top 4 seed because if you're a top 16 team, odds are they're going to put you in Tampa in the round of 64 and the round of 32, which would be enormous for Florida to basically have home court. The games are in Tampa. All right, leave us with this. Alabama and Florida, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Remember, it is a Sunday game, national TV on ABC. Of course, you can hear the game right here on 1010XL as well. What is your thought? What are you looking for between the Crimson Tide and the Gators?
On my birthday, the Gators don't lose. The Gators don't lose on my birthday. So they're going to take care of business in Gainesville, especially they're still going to be thinking about Auburn. They're still going to be thinking about Auburn when Bama comes in. Watch out for the guard play. LeBaron Philon and Aiden Holloway, great guards. And then Latrell Wrightsell coming off the bench. He can light it up as well. Bediako is going to – I don't think Bediako is going to be that big of a factor. But we'll see. We'll see. They got to guard us and defend us as well. So it's going to be a great matchup. Who's the X factor today in that game? I'm gonna go with Boogie. I think Boogie's going to be the X factor. He's going to have a great matchup in front of his hands going up against LeBaron Philon, who is so crafty. But yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. Hack. Gators don't lose on my birthday. I'm telling you.
It should be fun. Happy early birthday, by the way. And Patrick, as we say goodbye for our first episode, really mean it, man. Can't wait to do this with you. Gator Bytes every Friday. I know you're going to be on the drill with Jeff and Dan. I'll certainly have you on Hacker After Dark as developments warrant. But welcome to the family. We're glad to have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Cat. Appreciate it, man.
For Patrick Young, I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. Thank you to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for bringing you Gator Bytes right here on the 1010XL.com podcast network and on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page.